These days, it seems like it's become more common for directors to have overt political messages in their movies. Now, this isn't to say that some movies don't warrant such messaging, because I think some stories actually inherently have it tied to it. But other movies, I think it's a little bit unnecessary to try to tie it back into current politics. Not only does it ruin the escapism, but it also makes the movies feel inherently more dated when it's just talking about what's going on in the news cycle at the time. Now, this even includes movies that have political messaging that I personally agree with. If the movie doesn't need to have a message to it, then I don't want to have something in there. I just want to be entertained by watching it. And thankfully, there are some directors who are starting to pick up on this, or at least kind of take that mentality that I have, where not everything needs to have a political message, but there are a lot of people within the audience who disagree and thinks everything needs to be political. So that's where we're getting to the subject of today's article. Terrifier director called out for not picking sides as star gets slammed by MAGA enthusiasts. So Terrifier, the popular horror franchise that's pretty much created another horror icon killer right now. The director of that, Damien Leone, is getting attacked because he said that he doesn't want to put politics in his movies and he wants to be neutral, and he doesn't care whether someone voted Republican, Democrat, just so long as they're a decent person. But apparently that's a bad thing, and I will get more on that in a moment. But first, let's look at what's saying in this article. Terrifier director Damien Leone seems to be in hot water right now with some of the franchise's fan base, who are calling him out for refusing to pick a side. In the current political climate, recently MAGA enthusiasts have been attacking Art the Clown actor David Howard Thornton on social media for his outspoken views on President Donald Trump and the current administration, which includes Elon Musk. Leone released a statement on Facebook, see below, in which the director says he's all for freedom of speech and expression and didn't get into filmmaking to become a politician or promote any political agendas. And we will get on to Damien Leone's statement shortly, but first let's look at what David Howard Thornton said that kind of kicked all of this off. So he wrote on his own personal Facebook page, "I grew up around Germans and stayed silent. I learned from them what happens when one stays silent. That is why I continue to refuse to stay silent. If you don't like that, you can keep scrolling. It's as simple as that." Well, all right. I mean, not the most sensational statement, but it's clear where he stands on that one. So I decided to check on what he actually said on his own personal Facebook page, because the article says he was attacked by MAGA enthusiasts for those statements. So as you can see right here, this is his Facebook page. Scrolling down to that actual statement right there. Yeah, it's right here. "I grew up around Germans and stayed silent." So you get the idea. It's the same post. It has 27 comments on it. Not a whole lot of engagement, but still it's a bit of engagement on here. But just looking at the comments, they don't seem nearly as bad as what the article tried to imply, which that leads me to think that's probably why they didn't actually have any quotes for some of the pushback that he was getting for this, because it doesn't really seem like there's a whole lot of pushback. Yes, there's this image of Trump sawing Art the Clown in a manner that Art the Clown killed someone in the first movie. I mean, I that's probably the worst comment there, because it's attacking someone that Thornton played. But at the same time, it's like, if someone did this to Art in the movie, audiences would be cheering. So I don't know, but I guess you could say that's him being attacked for this. This comment right here: "Since you were born in a time, it's safe to say you have, since you weren't born in that time," talking about 1940s and 30s Germany, "it's safe to say you have no say in the way anyone of that time should have reacted or acted. You're just another person imposing their own delusion onto people that can no longer defend themselves." All right there. "I applaud you for making your voice heard. Everyone should make their dissent as frequent as possible. I respectfully look forward to your reply regarding Damien Leone's recent comments." And we'll get on that when we're finished here. "DHT, we can agree to disagree on politics. Keep up the good work." All right. I mean, that seems kind of nice. This person doesn't agree with him politically, but likes him in the movie, and he's still going to watch it as a result of that. All right. That seems to be a nice comment right there. "You really are a clown. Don't alienate more than half your audience." Okay. I mean, it's a little bit more, I guess, mean than the previous one, but still, I mean, He's not saying that he's going to boycott him or calling him names or, I mean, I guess calling him a clown is a name, but I mean, he does play a clown, but still just saying, don't alienate half your audience by doing this, by trying to make statements or getting overtly political. That doesn't seem like such a bad thing to me. Well, what do you expect from Staten Island? Art is the new gritty, 100%, the communist fist. All right, so you get the idea. The attacks that he's getting from MAGA enthusiasts, I think, are pretty tame, all things considered. As far as Damien Leone, though, here's a statement that he put out. I mean, it's not directly in response to this, but since David Howard Thornton is making statements, he decided to make a statement of his own, and this is what he said. I'm all for freedom of speech and expression. That being said, Terrifier is not in any way, shape, or form a political franchise. I did not get into filmmaking to become a politician or promote any political agendas or ideologies, especially through a killer clown movie. I fell in love with horror movies as a form of pure entertainment, and those are the films I like to make. Since Terrifier 1, our cast and crew is and still consists of both Republicans and Democrats, and anyone is welcome to be part of it regardless of their political affiliation, as long as they're a decent human being. And the problem with saying that is there's a lot of people who think you can't be a decent human being if you're a Republican right there, and that's one reason why he's getting attacked for this. But let's just finish this up first before we start getting to some of the comments to Damien Leone's statement. That goes for our fan base as well. If this doesn't still sit well with any fans or cast/crew members, that is your right, and I respect it. So he's not saying if you don't like it, don't watch the movie. He's just saying like, okay, I respect that you disagree with me on that one. You don't have to buy a ticket, and you don't have to work on these films. Thank you, and I recommend you don't let toxic rhetoric on either side of the political spectrum deter you from being a Terrifier fan. Now, he could have just said nothing. I guess that would be the most neutral, is when you just ignore it entirely. But people are asking him what he thinks in light of David Howard Thornton's comments. So I guess with that in mind, he made a statement where he was trying to be as diplomatic as possible with this. And he has even said that he more agrees with David Howard Thornton, but he just doesn't agree that people should not watch the movies as a result, because there's not going to be any political leaning to his movies, and he just wants to make something that entertains people. And even if they personally disagree with him, they can still be entertained by his movies, and he's not going to discriminate against them as a result of all that. And I think that is probably the best statement that a person could make if they have to give a statement on this matter. But like I said, a lot of people are not happy with that because they think, the whole silence is violence mentality. Reaction to Leone's statements have been swift on social media, with some praising the director for his well-spoken thoughts, while others have been taking him to task for not decrying the bad behavior of the MAGA horde. Again, citation needed on that one. I'm not saying there hasn't been more sensational comments for David Howard Thornton on other social media platforms, but I would think if they were really so bad that they would at least show them in this article, but we don't really get that. And the ones that I have been able to find, like I showed you, were, at least I think, are pretty benign. The creator of Terrifier saying he fell in love with horror movies as entertainment and doesn't do it to make political statements. I'm sorry, but so much of the horror genre is making a political statement. If you don't want to do that, be doing that, then find a new career. I don't agree. You can make a horror movie. I mean, there are horror movies with political agendas in them. Not every horror movie has a political agenda, and not every horror movie needs one. And that's what Damien Leone's saying here. User Killjoy Jake 1 said that while it's important to have an escape these days, like Leone said, silence right now is compliance. We must speak up for the rights of our fellow Americans. Disappointed but not surprised. I love Terrifier, but being a fence sitter isn't it, dude. And then this other user was left confused by Leone saying the franchise isn't political, when in their minds the genre itself has always lent itself to exploring real world horrors we face every day. Now, this is the result of people who think they're media literate. They read into something and see stuff that isn't there. I mean, this person thought that the franchise was always political. Clearly, Damien Leone disagrees, or maybe they're just talking about horror in general is supposed to be political. But again, Terrifier is not a political movie. And if you see politics in it, well, you're seeing something that was completely unintentional right there. So those are some of the negative reactions and pushback to this. They're not the worst things in the world, but just kind of going to Damien Leone's X post where he shared a screen grab of his Facebook post talking about this. You can browse through this, and I encourage others to browse through this to kind of get a clear picture on what's actually being said, because there's people who kind of agree with him on this one. There were people who disagree with him on this one. And I don't know. I mean, I think most of the people who are just in agreement with him, though, are kind of on the political right of the spectrum, or at least centrist right, where they're people who are kind of checked out from politics, or they just don't want to have politics in every aspect of pop culture. And to me, that's the way it should be. I mean, I agree with him on that one. Like I already said, like I don't want it in everything, even though some stuff calls for it. I don't think the Terrifier is a franchise where you need to make overt political statements. And the whole framing of this as like, oh, it's just Trump supporters attacking an actor and a director because they're not siding with them. Obviously, that's not the case. The people who are being who are attacking them are basically the left-wing activists who are upset that someone that they thought was an ally of them is basically not pulling their weight in what they perceive to be a fight. But the thing is, I think those people are fewer and far between. And I think more and more filmmakers are starting to realize that, because for a while, even though these people can be very loud on social media, a lot of people within Hollywood thought like, okay, well, this is the demographic, so we need to appeal these activist types. And they started making movies with them in mind, thinking that that's the target audience. And come to find out, that's just not the case. Those people out there are few and far between, because when they started making movies to pander to those groups, no one was watching them, and they lost money because there's not enough of them out there to make a high budget movie successful, or even a medium budget movie successful. And then most everyday audiences, whether they're in the middle or on the right side of the spectrum, are just kind of either turned off by politics or turned off by political messaging that is blatantly attacking them. So I think this is kind of a good approach. And even though there are still a lot of directors out there who are going to try to use their movies as a platform in order to push an agenda, I think more and more are starting to wake up to the idea that that's not a good approach if you want to actually make something that's successful or something that stands the test of time. And I think we'll see more directors, even if they're not going to make overt statements saying that they're not being political, are going to at least adopt that practice. But let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Do you think directors should be more political in their messaging in their movies, or do you think they should be like Damien Leone here, where they try to keep things neutral in order to not alienate audiences and basically judge people by the content of their character? And also, if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with the latest entertainment news. And don't forget to click that like button and share this video out there, because it really helps out with the channel. Thank you.